Hello, everyone. Welcome to North of the Fray. This is a channel dedicated to exploring narcissistic behavior from a biblical perspective. My name is Tanya, and I am so glad that you are here. If you haven't already, would you please go ahead and hit the subscribe, like, and notification buttons so you can receive alerts the next time a video is posted, and so others can get this video in their feed. They might need the message too. I do thank you all in advance. Today's topic is about 5 ways God punishes narcissists. I am going to quickly examine the stories of 5 biblical figures and the narratives that provide a profound look into the consequences of narcissistic behavior and the inherent dangers of excessive and insolent pride. I'm going to share some scriptures here. I encourage you all to jot them down and do a deeper dive so that you can see that God does indeed repay the wicked for the things that they do. Let's start with number 1. The number 1 way that God punishes narcissists is through restlessness. How many of you know a narcissist who's always wandering, who can't sleep, they crawl in the middle of the night? They just roam around. They're constantly doing things. They're always unsatisfied with life. They always think the grass is green. They're always comparing themselves to other people, what other people have and what they don't have. Just constant complaining and carrying on, right? So these are the consequences of jealousy and violence from the story of Cain in Genesis chapter 4. This is a profound lesson on unchecked emotions. Unchecked emotions leads us to bitterness, feeling ungrateful, false competition like you see narcissists doing, hating other people, and the list can go on and on. But Cain was a farmer, he and his brother, and they both brought an offering to God. Now, before this, Cain was already jealous of his brother Abel. It just seemed like Abel was doing everything better and that his parents and God favored Abel more. And there's a lot of reasons why, right? Because of his behavior, Cain was probably kinder. He loved the Lord and so on and so forth. But when the two of them brought their offering before God, God favored Abel's offering. And this just caused Cain's envy to grow out of control to the point where he committed a terrible act against Abel. He took his life. Therefore, his punishment was a life of wandering decreed by God. And this symbolizes more than just physical displacement. It reflects the profound isolation and despair that stem from narcissistic envy and anger. Cain's story warns us of the emotional and relational toll of such destructive emotions. Number 2, second way that God punishes narcissists is that they are unforgiven. Think about Judas's betrayal. Judas Iscariot's betrayal of Jesus was for a measly 30 pieces of silver. And this, you can find the story in Matthew 26 and 27, which illustrates narcissistic greed and a lack of empathy. His remorse led to returning the silver, but he didn't repent. And it says remorse in the Bible. I wish they would use a different word, because to me, a person with remorse, they carry out an apology. They repent for their behavior, which Judas did not do any of this. And this led to his own tragic end. And Judas's story is quite complex because it's really an example of the self-destructive consequences of actions that are driven by greed and disloyalty. And it also echoes the biblical warning that pride goes before destruction. See, Judas was in charge of the money bag, right? He was in charge of all the finances for the ministry. And he was using it all for his own gain. He wasn't doing anything for the good of everyone. It was just all about him. And that's what led him to being disloyal towards Jesus. It was that pride that he had, that he deserved to be where he was at. He deserved to have what he wanted to have. And so therefore his downfall was him taking his own life. Number 3, humiliation. They're punished with humiliation. And they might avoid this, but us looking from the outside into a narcissist's life, we can see that there's humiliation. They have deep-seated humiliation, actually, and insecurities. Let's look at King Ahab. King Ahab's reign is in 1 Kings and is marked by moral decay and narcissistic leadership, covert narcissistic leadership, heavily influenced by his wife, Queen Jezebel. His rule is characterized by idolatry, injustice, and self-serving actions. Ahab's disregard for justice is epitomized in his dealings with Elijah. You know, he hated Elijah. He wanted him dead, couldn't find him, and searched for him, killed other people to try to get to him. And also Naboth. His injustice led to Naboth's unjust execution. His downfall was when he was warned. Remember Micaiah? The prophet Micaiah warned him to not go onto the battlefield. But Ahab, with that pride, that insolent pride, thought he knew better than God. And so this was the one time he was going to get paid for all of his behavior. And he was struck by an arrow in the battle, despite having tried to disguise himself. And this fulfilled a prophecy and served as a divine judgment for his sins. Ahab's story highlights the destructive consequences of narcissistic leadership, characterized by exploitation, injustice, and moral erosion. Number 4, self-destruction. Sometimes God punishes them with just allowing them to self-destruct. And this happens quite a bit. I think I've heard the term of a collapsing narcissist in the community. Same thing right here. Okay. Jezebel's downfall is the one that we can highlight here, because she at the end just was out of control, and she was doing things in front of people. She was no longer really trying to hide. I don't know that she ever was, but she definitely was not trying to hide in her last moments. And you could tell by her story, she was collapsing. She was out of control. So her story can be found in 1st and 2nd Kings, which is a stark example of narcissistic behavior. Her story was marked by manipulation and control. As Queen of Israel, her influence was profound, promoting idolatry and opposing God's prophets. Her ruthless manipulation is exemplified in orchestrating Naboth's execution. See how she was Ahab's puppet? So Ahab wanted Naboth dead, and King Jezebel was, hey, she would do anything for her boo, even to the death and her own demise. Okay, not saying that she was a good person. We know she wasn't, but he just fueled her evil thoughts and behavior. And anyway, she had Naboth executed to acquire his vineyard for Ahab. Jezebel's actions, devoid of morality and justice, ultimately led to her tragic end. She was thrown from a window like garbage and trampled on by horses, and dogs consumed her body. Okay. Her demise fulfills Elijah's prophecy, the very person that she hated and killed other people to try to get to. His prophecy from God was fulfilled. And this illustrated the self-destructive nature of manipulative and controlling behavior. When they collapse, they go down. Number 5, the way God punishes sometimes is with swift vengeance. And this we can find in Haman's downfall. Haman is from the book of Esther. And this exemplifies the dangers of pride vengefulness, and evil plotting. They all have that in common, really. As a high-ranking official under King Xerxes, Haman's arrogance and spite caused him to plot the destruction of all Jews in retaliation for Mordecai's refusal to bow to him. His prideful and vengeful scheme, however, backfired dramatically. At a banquet, Queen Esther revealed her identity in Haman's plot, leading to Haman being the one actually hanged on the gallows that he built for Mordecai. This tale highlights the irony and self-destructive nature of narcissistic rage and plotting. You guys, move out of God's way. He will serve them up something they didn't even see coming. Just when they think they're at the height of their game, just like Haman, he shuts the whole thing down. But you got to move out of the way, right? You expose and then you back up. And that's what I want to share with you guys. I hope the information was helpful. I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this very short journey through biblical wisdom has been enlightening and thought-provoking for you. I look forward to exploring more biblical stories with you in the future. But until then, stay grounded in the truth and may your path be guided by God's wisdom and understanding. Take care and God bless you.